Good morning, Schmoopies. So I took a look at your Mulvaney thesis statements and gave you feedback. It's sort of an all or nothing point, 1 or 0. There were I think about half of you guys earned the point. I composed a thesis of my own that I think would work well, and I want you to notice that it is more than one sentence. You don't have to cram a whole lot of analysis and the establishment of your line of reasoning into one sentence. So please understand that and use that latitude, because if you are between a 4 and a 5 out of 6 on the exam, that can make the difference between you getting credit and not getting credit. So anyway, what I have composed here for you in the comment says, in the fictional novel We Were the Mulvaneys, Joyce Carol Oates uses the young character Judd Mulvaney and the nature that surrounds him to illuminate his fear of death. Oates' childlike syntax and stream of consciousness dramatize Judd's realization that the passing of nature is much like the passing of his own life and the lives of his family. Judd sees the falling leaves as a metaphor for the inevitable decline of himself and everyone he loves. So could probably get rid of that last sentence. Seems a little bit redundant now that I'm reading it out loud, but I want to point out that you have, the author uses the character. We recognize the character himself is a device, and the nature that surrounds him to illuminate his fear of death. So it's an action verb, right? And it connects the image of the nature. I want to point with my finger, but you can't see that. The nature is the device, so that's sort of an implied sensory imagery. Action verb illuminates his fear of death. That's the thematic thread. The childlike syntax, so that is in stream of consciousness, that is the device. Dramatize is the action verb. And Judd's realization that the passing of nature is much like the passing of his own life. So there's a pattern here, okay? And so I've also attached a sort of formula. Now the bonus part of you guys taking the exam this year is that you can have all these little tools and aids right next to you at the kitchen table as you compose your essay. So here's what this has in it. Could be a real benefit. So what, right, plus the verb plus the idea. So she uses imagery to illustrate his fear of death, right? So here in terms of Huckleberry Finn, right, through its contrasting rivers and shore scenes, Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn develops, reveals, connects the true expression of American democratic ideas. So it's the device, number one, it's the action verb, it's the function that the device performs, and it's how that device functions to convey the larger idea, the larger thematic truth, okay? So feel free to make, just copy this into a notebook. You can print it if you have a printer at home. But the idea is the what is the device, it's the verb, it's the function it serves, and how it functions to convey the larger thematic idea, okay? Oh crap, I just closed my whole, all right, hold on, little muffins. I gotta go back. Anna's laughing at me. Our house is haunted, by the way. I had to perform a ritual little thing yesterday with, oh, come on, close some of these windows. A ritual with salt, holy water, and the burning of sage, which made my house smell like hash bash, because Anna is convinced that there is a malevolent presence in her bedroom. So there's that. Okay, so here we go, back on our little site. Now another little cheat sheet that I've attached here is kind of forcing you to structure your essay. So let's say you open the prompt and you read it, and then if you had this next to you in one form or another, you could, use this to kind of structure your pre-writing, which we know there's a very strong correlation between people who spend, 5-7 minutes pre-writing and people who get high scores. So the other advantage that you have is that you're using a word processor instead of pen and paper. So you do get to go back and sort of backfill some of the ideas, some of the sharper thinking that develops as you write. You can go back and add some of those insights to the early part of your essay, because we all have had the experience of going through the process of writing something, and our thinking evolves, our thinking about the topic develops and becomes more sophisticated and more complex as we go. And so you have the advantage that you can go back, move that little cursor toward the top, and really refine that opening statement to reflect the ultimate, complexity of your thinking. So just a couple of observations. I'm going to post a new practice in the classroom, and then some really nice person who obviously doesn't have a haunted house put together like a choice board for practicing, thinking about like what different skills you would need to do well on the essay. They broke it down in terms of literary device. So one of the little lessons has to do with if you are faced with a prompt that deals with figurative language, how to talk about that. So it breaks it down kind of nicely by device. So I'll post that and would encourage you to maybe pick 3 or 4 of those to view, and then I'll throw out a practice for that. So I hope you guys are doing well. Stay in touch, and wish me luck with the haunting. Ooh.